Welcome to Selenium training. Let's look at the course content and what all we'll be covering in this course, what all projects and all and frameworks we'll be looking at. Fine. This course is over 90 hours now and it covers a lot of things. We start with the very basics of Java. Fine. Look, you cannot just ignore Java when you're working Selenium. When you're working with Selenium, it starts with basic loops and installations, and the most important thing is object-oriented programming. You need to understand object-oriented programming. You need to understand inheritance, interfaces, encapsulation. Fine, because without this you cannot learn Selenium directly. I've seen people directly jumping over to Selenium without proper knowledge of these topics. They think that fine, we have some partial knowledge we can learn, but in the end they get confused. If you're a beginner and if you think that fine, I'm afraid of Java or something, then you cannot actually run away from Java. Being afraid will take you nowhere. Alright, it's very easy. We have made it very easy for you. Alright, we have covered the complete OOPS concepts. We have covered collections API. Collections API is something which helps you to manage loads of data. When you have lots of data and you have to manage that, you use this. We have used file handling. Okay, we have taught file handling because you know, when you work with Selenium and you are working on a project, fine, then you have got two types of data. Data which is continuously changing. For example, your regular test data. Okay, it will change over a period of time. And you have other type of data which is like, which doesn't changes with time. The possibilities are less. For example, the URL of the application. For example, the admin user ID of the application or the admin password of the application. So there is some data which will not change over a period of time. We keep this in a properties file when we are writing the script. Okay, the data which changes, we keep this data in Excel files, we keep it in YML files, we keep it in JSON. There are different files which you can use. So that's what is covered in this module. We'll be using Java code to manage data. Fine. So once we are done with Java, we'll be learning about Apache Maven. Maven is something which will help you maintain the version of the softwares in the project. What do you mean by this? Basically, suppose if there are multiple people working in a project. Alright, there are 20 people working in a project. And everybody is using Selenium and different softwares in the project. You want that all the team members should be working with same versions of softwares and jars. You don't want that half the team is working with one version and the other half is working with some other version. Fine. So to manage that, we use Maven. I'm just giving you an idea, an overview. Okay. Because inside this there are lots of other things I'm not going into. Alright, apart from this, Maven is also used to run the project, to build the project. Alright, we'll see that. Then we come over to JUnit and TestNG frameworks. Once you have learned about Java and Maven, learning these two frameworks is really important. I'll tell you why. Look, when you have a project, then you have got different requirements. Say for example, the client comes up and tells you that fine, these are your 5,000 test cases, manual test cases, and automate them. Fine. Then you have to read the data from some Excel file or YML file or JSON file or properties files which we just discussed right now. The data which is not changing that much, we can keep it in properties file. Apart from this, when you are writing the scripts for 5,000 test cases, automating 5,000 test cases, you would want to generate some HTML reports. HTML reports which will have logs, which will have screenshots for all the 5,000 test cases. Logs are something like, for example, if the scripts they run for 10 hours, what happened at each and every moment, that log will tell us. For example, this is a sample HTML report. It's having logs like at 6, 10, 11 p.m. opening the browser Chrome, then some text field is validated, it is present on the web page. Fine. So the logs come up like this inside every test case. Apart from this, we can also store screenshots inside these reports. So this is the requirement. Apart from this, the client might tell you that fine, tomorrow go and integrate this project on Selenium Grid. Selenium Grid is used to run the test cases parallelly across different systems, majorly to save the execution time, or to run on different platforms as well. Okay, here comes the problem. At times, you automate and you build the complete project, and when the client tells you that fine, run it on Grid, you are really confused that how do I now run it on Grid, because the project from the initial phase has not been made in such a way that it cannot be executed on Grid. So you have to take care of a lot of things when you are making the project. Okay, now client can tell you that fine, out of these 1000 test cases, 5000 test cases, only 1000 have to be executed. That is, you have to optionally run the tests, or maybe you just have to group the tests, that is, run only the sanity test cases. In 5000 test cases, maybe 500 test cases are your sanity tests. So you have to group and run as well at times, or you have to optionally run the test cases as well. Then maybe 50 test cases they fail. The client can tell you that fine, go and rerun those 50 test cases. Now how do you rerun those 50 test cases out of those 5000 and generate the reports and all again? How do you do that? So you have to take care of that as well. Then you might have to, in future, you might have to integrate the framework with Git and Jenkins as well for CI/CD purpose. Git is something where you can store the code. If a team is working, team of 10 people, they are working, and they all need to merge their code and put somewhere, so you use Git for that, and Jenkins helps you in that process. I am not going into the detail of Git and Jenkins right now. Alright, so there are a lot of requirements over here. Fine. So you have your test cases over here, 5000 test cases. This is your test case 1. This is your test case 2, test case 3. So you have to read the data from Excel, generate reports, optionally rerunning the test cases, grouping the test cases, batch running them. Okay, so how do you manage this? To manage this, we use a centralized controller. This centralized controller can be your JUnit, or it can be TestNG, or people also use the BDD frameworks like Cucumber is there, or Serenity is there. Alright, these centralized controller, they help you read the data, they pass the data to the test cases, they help you generate the HTML reports with logs and screenshots, and they help in integrating with Grid, optionally running the tests, grouping the tests, and to rerun the test cases as well, the failed test cases. And they help in the CI/CD integration as well. So in this course, once we have actually learned about Java and file reading and Maven, we will learn the JUnit and the TestNG framework. You can decide to learn any one of them. I have covered both of them. You can decide to learn any one of them. Look, TestNG is more famous than JUnit with Selenium because TestNG has got better features. So if you are a beginner, I would advise you to learn TestNG. Fine. Once the TestNG is done, we will make a raw project structure. This raw project structure in a nutshell, I can tell you, is something like this diagram excluding these tests. Okay, because if you talk about test cases or if you talk about Selenium, then Selenium is just in this red box. This is Selenium. Selenium will only have commands which will interact with browser. Okay, it can click on a link, it can load a web page, it can enter a value in text field, but Selenium will not help you do other things. like report generation and all that stuff. Okay, so we took a raw project structure over here in the training, and in this raw project structure we build the reports, test cases, test suites, parameterize the test cases, fine, and we help the test cases run in parallel, help taught you about dependencies between the tests. Suppose if output of one test is dependent on input of other, how do you manage that? And in this 3 hours of project structure, we have actually implemented the whole thing except the Selenium part. All right, fine. Now after this we start off with Selenium. This is Selenium in the course, right? These all are Selenium topics, that what is the architecture, how do you work with different browsers, different weighting techniques. We also do a small pilot project in order to help you with better understanding, and lots of exercises are there inside it, exercises and quizzes. So over here Selenium is like how to upload and download files with Selenium, managing auto suggests, web tables and all. And then we teach you about Jenkins and GitHub as well. Okay, and Selenium Grid. Selenium Grid is for parallel execution. These days Selenium 4 has come up in the market. It is unstable, it is in the alpha version. We have actually taken Selenium 4 in the training as well. Okay, but in as far as Grid is concerned, we have taken up Selenium 4 with Grid, but there are some problems going on in Selenium with Grid when you're using the Selenium 4 version. So we have discussed those problems as well. Maybe in future those issues get resolved, right? And then we actually jump over to the frameworks, which is the most important thing. People ask us that, do you cover some live project or something inside the training? Live project in case of automation is known as a framework. For example, this is TestNG and hybrid framework. It is over 8 hours. The page object model, it is over 19 hours, almost 20 hours, and this is the page object model framework. Okay, it covers all the aspects which I just discussed, that generation of reports and all, everything. Like for example, in this framework, the script is written something like this, that open the browser, go to the home page, validate the title, validate the presence of some element, okay, validate the header and all. Different things are there. You can report multiple failures in one single test as well. All right. So it's a course which will help you with BDD as well, learning Cucumber framework. All right. And it's an end-to-end solution. If you are looking out for a job change in Selenium, and maybe if you are looking out to work on a project in Selenium, you already have a project in hand, then this course will definitely help you. And that's what the objective is for this course. People at times, they are scared of learning Selenium. Okay, they are scared of Java. That's what we have seen. Or they just skip in between of the course. Okay, skipping in between or getting afraid will never take you anywhere. We have got students, like we have been training since 2011. Like there have been students with literally no background, chartered accountants coming to us in order to learn Selenium and get into IT industry and all. So we have taught those people as well. It's only your will and your courage which will take you over, take you and will help you in learning this tool, right? Because it takes time. It takes minimum 8 to 10 weeks for you to reach a level where you can clear interview. If you just want to learn it for just getting knowledge or something, maybe 2 weeks are enough. But to reach a level where you can work on a project or give an interview, it takes time. All right. You can contact us on the live chat of the website if you have any questions. All right. Thank you.